Thank you, Jim. You know, it was about 24 years ago when a good friend of mine introduced me. His name was Norm Miller. Many of you know him, chaplain or chairman of Interstate Batteries. Introduced me to his corporate chaplain, who he called a linchpin of his broad-reaching company, and that chaplain is Jim Cote. Jim is not only a DTS grad, but he comes out of the marketplace, a business owner himself, and took a step of faith into ministry, which, since Interstate Batteries' involvement in auto racing, stepped into that world and has since, over the past 20 years, had a major impact there. And Jim not only has done a great job in earning favor from that community, he has used that format to what I am excited about as one of his advisory board members, to reach the community beyond the walls of a racetrack, and that's major business leaders and leaders around the country. So I'll quit talking and love to have a warm Barnabas welcome for Jim Cote.
Good morning. I'm the last one. In 6 minutes, I think you guys have lunch. So, ready, set, let's go. I'm here to do one thing, invite you to come with me to the racetrack. Honestly. There's guys here in the room that have been, and they tell me it's pretty fun. Gals, come with me too. But not just to come and have a good time. That's going to happen. Not just to come and watch our ministry. We don't allow watchers in our ministry. We only allow doers. We want you to come join us. When I finish up, I'm going to point out a few guys in this room that by going have gotten involved, and now they stay involved. And it's a wonderful thing in my little philosophy of ministry to see ministry multiply out through the disciples, and that's what we do. Let me back up just a little bit. I have the privilege of running an organization that does nothing but work with men. We do it globally. We do it for a reason that I'll mention in just a second. We reach men through a media platform. We try to present the gospel and then do follow-up for life growth and change through discipleship groups, which we call Masters Men Teams. We have materials for that and blah, 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 blah. In fact, some of those materials are in the back, way back in the corner. My youngest, Nathan, is back there. Please go by and get one if you want something related to discipleship and your children, a little gift book. And then if you really do care about racing at all, a book back there about some of the personalities in racing that I know that have legitimate testimonies, which that can be unusual. Now, this is why I work with men. It's my opinion that often it's easier, and it's what I spend most of my time doing, or you may too. We deal with symptoms rather than causes. Now, please, don't get me wrong. I mean, symptoms are very important. I have a son that's a fireman, and that's all he does. He drags people off the street, out of cars, and out of burning houses all day long, dealing with symptoms. And if I get in an accident, I want him or somebody like him to pull me off the street, put me in an ambulance, take me to the hospital. Seriously. But at some point, we need to deal with causes. Was I driving too fast? Was the other guy drunk? Did the brakes fail? Did the light fail? What happened? In society, it's the same thing. We see the consequences, we see the stuff, the dysfunction, but that's not the issue really. The issue is the cause. The cause of all that's wrong is sin. We know that, right? And the only thing that changes anything is the redemptive and transformative effects of the gospel. Without a person being regenerated and born again, all we will do would be to provide Band-Aids day after day after year, life after life, for consequences, for symptoms. Because I believe that's true, I also, given the way I was raised and some other things, I believe firmly that men are the cause of most of what's wrong in the world today. Yeah. You women have some sin. Well, maybe not you women, but the women out there, women sin, sure enough. And some of them do crazy bad stuff, and you'll read about it in the paper. But I promise you, it's because she was previously infected by a bad male. Now, this is a theological deal. I won't get into it. But men, you are the cause of great things if you act out in Christ, and we're the cause of the bad stuff, which is why I work with men. And if you grew up in an abused home, you get what I'm talking about. All right? So we try to reach men. And we do that globally, as I mentioned, and you get that. And now NASCAR. I can't explain why. Lindsay tried to, but even I can't explain why God would give me this favor. For 20 years, NASCAR invites me, and there's some other ministries that do this too, but they've shown me favor to give me complete access to all that they've got going on. What's developed in the 20 years is that we hire chaplains as a first line of offense for the gospel, and we put them specifically in race shops in Charlotte, North Carolina, where they reach the men with the gospel, provide pastoral care, everything really that a pastor would do, but we are evangelistic on the front side. Those guys in the shop, those mechanics and crew chiefs and engineers and owners and sponsors and drivers, lead their peers to Christ. We provide master's men teams in the race shops, which some people call Bible studies and prayer groups, and they can come once a week to their own little chapel service. And then what happens is we also go to the racetrack to support our men, and we have the good fortune of being in most of the shops that are controlled or owned by non-believers. The believing shops like Joe Gibbs Racing, Hendricks, Childress, they hire their own chaplains. Isn't that cool? Kind of the model you were talking about, Lindsay, with Norm Miller. We get the non-Christian shops, and I'm good with that, all right? Michael Waltrip Racing, Stuart Haas Racing, Ganassi Racing, Dale Jr., although Dale and Kelly are believers. I mean, there's a lot of believers too. I mean, Michael Waltrip, but the culture isn't church. We get invited in. And so all that I just talked about, here's the fourth piece in the leverage. We have an event just like this at a racetrack. I bring those guys out. Maybe an owner, maybe a crew chief, like J.D. Gibbs might show up, a driver like Jeff Green, or who knows, maybe Tony Stewart, crew chief, engineer, whatever, and they stand up here and I get to interview them and they talk about racing and what it's like, and the people that like racing get a kick out of that. You might be bored to tears, but you won't be at the racetrack. But the guys that are at the racetrack come to one of our events, dinner or breakfast like this, they hear their stories, and then they transition into how Jesus has changed their lives. And we've seen man after man after man come to Christ. And yeah, you know, NASCAR's a co-ed deal, a lot of ladies too, but I'm unapologetically driving at men's hearts, because if you can change a man, you change a marriage, change a family, change a community. And that's what we do in NASCAR. There's a video that's going to show it, say it better than I just did, if we have time for that, and then I'll wrap up. Hi, I'm Jim Cote, president of Masters Men, hanging out at Tony Stewart's Race Shop in Kannapolis, North Carolina. Welcome to my world. Here's the shop floor at Stuart Haas Racing, where you see mechanics and engineers, fabricators, and others building a $500,000 race car. In fact, they're building a bunch of them. Upstairs is the executive suites, where sponsorship, support, marketing, finance, and others are housed, all of which are part of the enterprise of Stuart Haas Racing. This shop, like many others we serve, has about 300 total employees, all of which we have access to because of Tony and the permission of the ownership group. And it's a unique privilege because we're here on their invitation to be a Christian witness and to provide pastoral care. But here's another cool part. As a result of our work here, which includes weekly walkthroughs, racetrack visits, Bible studies, pastoral care, we collect quite a group of Christian men around us. And these men help us to reach other men, both on the shop floor as well as at the racetrack where we do outreach events. So the ministry is a multiplier. In fact, it reminds me of exactly what the Apostle Paul said in 2 Timothy, chapter 2, verse 2. The things that you've learned from me in the presence of many witnesses, these entrust to faithful men who will reach others also. What we do here gives us leverage to reach other men globally as a result of the way we've set up our ministry. How can you be involved? It's real simple. Sponsor a shop. Sponsorship dollars enable me to hire a qualified chaplain to go into the race shop and lead the charge of reaching these men with the gospel, training them, and enabling them to reach others also. As a sponsor, we want you to join us in the work. We'd like for you to come to Charlotte, join your race team, walk their floor, be a part of their Bible study, get to know the men, correspond with them if you'd like. Or join us at a race venue of your choice, where again, you can spend the day with us, go through the garage, pit road, spend time in the haulers, be a part of the ministry with us. I have the details of this arrangement on a brochure that I'd like to share with you at lunch. I hope you'll decide to be a part of this unique outreach ministry with us. So the close of it, the short of it is, yeah, I mean, we could certainly use sponsorship dollars. We're going nowhere without them because they don't hire us to come in. Y'all hire us to go in. But here's what it looks like. Lindsey Spaeth has done this for so long with such intensity that he's the chaplain at the racetrack when he goes. He also helps us with a bunch of relational stuff, and as a result, Lindsey is the proud owner of one of these, all right, a credential. NASCAR does not give these away. You have to have an economic interest to be at the racetrack, and if you do, then you get to buy one. They give us these for our guys. That gives him complete access anywhere, all time, all season. Jack Burns in the back is one of our sponsors. Jack's turned his sponsorship into a personal ministry, leading one of his buddies to Christ. He's a vendor to the sport in some respects. And so he goes in and introduces this to all kinds of people that begins this 4-generational gospel thing. We turn him into a chaplain when he goes to the racetrack, and which means I'll assign him to a team. He'll pray with them out before they run the green light and all that. And that's just a couple of examples of what it looks like to be involved in the ministry. This is only the second time in 12 years I've stood up to share on behalf of We Need Money. We don't fundraise this way. The way we fundraise is we just go. You go with us. You do it with us. If you see it, like it, you can help us financially. I don't just ask. I'm looking for participants, not for payers. One final thing as Jim walks up is there's a guy in Dallas, DeWitt Ray, who's a sponsor, and he has gotten involved so much that I've just assigned the #1 team to him. So when they come into town, they're his to take care of for pastoral care, all the prayer and all the stuff that goes on. And he and his son host a hospitality event race week for the crew guys, and they go paintball shooting or do some crazy deal, and it just builds community and a chance to share Christ. There's a lot more to say about it. I'll be back in the back. God bless you. Thank you.